All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How you guys doing today? This is VivaCast Media. The first episode I'm going to be doing solo really quickly. This is going to be a series. It's going to be about like 5 episodes. Maybe we'll do more depending on what else I think that we can cover. But this is essentially going to be a how-to series for Bmhl. So this is mostly, made for new players. But if there definitely is going to be some information in here that maybe some older folks could use, just because there's a lot of information that comes out and changes about the game, or maybe you've even been playing the game for a very long time, but maybe you haven't known some of these facts. But the first episode is going to be a how-to Bmhl. I'm going to talk about some very basic common things that a lot of like OG players know, but maybe some of the newer players aren't really familiar to. They maybe even have a lot of questions. I might even answer a lot of questions throughout this entire video, simply because I know that some of you guys that are new may not know about like the gimmicky tricks, knowing about ownership, learning about latency. So stuff like that I'm going to cover throughout this video. This is going to be a little bit shorter. The other ones are going to be like how to defense, how to offense, how to goalie, which is going to be done by JR. He might have me in the background helping him out, but that's going to be an episode by himself. And then obviously we're taking any recommendations or anything else that you guys like to add on. I can 100% do that for you folks. But again, so the first one I'm going to cover is going to be the basics. So again, everything covering from latency, ownership, etc. So I'm going to jump right into it. The first thing that a lot of people are confused about, and this is probably the most common terminology that even a lot of older folks don't really, get into, is latency / ping. So I'll quickly explain how that works throughout this game. If you see on the top right of my screen, I have my tab open, which is going to have my ping and my count age. For the bottom right, the ping isn't all that necessarily accurate. I'd say it's off by a few increments, and sometimes even in games it's actually off by even more. But essentially what ping / latency represents is your connection to the server. So how well your response off of your keyboard and mouse will be to the server. So essentially what that means is that if you have better ping / latency, there will be a better chance that you will get connection to the server. So there is a lot of talk in the league about people with great ping, great latency, or whatever it may be. There's going to be a huge debate about that, but I'll push that to the side. Essentially, all that means is that if you have better ping / better latency, when you have the rock / the puck, it's actually going to be easier for you to, I'd say, like handle the rock even, because your connection to the server will be better. And it also means that you're stripping the puck off of people will be a little bit easier, because again, it's just all server based. At the end of the day, this is a video game, so there's only so much that you can do in order to actually be better than a lot of other people. Again, that I would argue personally that when you have more skill than the other people, it's a lot easier to get the rock off of others. But latency does play a huge role, especially during games, because within games, there's 100 people, 150 people, especially within playoffs. That does play a huge role in how you get the rock, how it affects, your connection to it or whatever. So that does become quite a big thing. But moving on to that, I'm going to talk a little bit about latency. Talk about ownership. So I used to speak to a guy, you guys may see him on the credentials. His name is Iogician. So he explained to me a little bit of how the development of this game works and how ownership works. And if you don't know what I mean by ownership, essentially all that means is when you have the rock itself, so like Ninja is shooting around right now, if you may see him, that means that he has ownership of the puck currently. And so that your connection and your latency is based off of that. But whatever it may means, your BMHL basically prioritizes whoever has the puck on hand. So, and a big part of that comes down to when you have ownership of the puck, you're actually a little bit ahead of everybody on their screen. So what that means is that you actually have to kind of like go a little bit ahead of where the person is going to be. So I'm going to show you guys like a little bit of that with Ninja here. If you look at the ownership change, when he's walking in a straight line, you may see it teleporting back and forth a little bit. That's actually change of ownership. So when it's glitching back and forth, so a lot of you guys I assume have played like auto pubs or whatever. Maybe that's where you guys are coming from off of this video. But if you watch the puck almost teleport, it's like almost micro adjustments to it. That's actually ownership changing between Ninja and I. So what that means is that the better you are as a player, the easier it's going to be for you to tell where the puck is going to go when that ownership change does happen. So what all that means simply is if you're watching the direction of the puck teleport, you kind of want to follow that same direction in order to gain that ownership. So I'll show you guys real quick what I'm talking about. This is a clip me working with a tier 2 player, and I was showing him a little bit of what I'm talking about in this video right now. I'll kind of slow it down a little bit just to show you guys what I'm talking about. But if you look right here, so in this position, I can tell that he's kind of just gliding with the puck and he doesn't have any intention of going forward because the puck is a little bit loose off of his stick. So that means that the puck, when it's not directly on your stick, it doesn't have direct ownership. So if you're letting the puck glide off of your stick a little bit, it means that the ownership isn't as strong as it would be if you had it glued onto your stick, if that makes sense. So moving on back to this clip, I see that he's kind of pushed up further back. So I decide to go. If you look on my screen, this is my screen versus his. You can see me go ahead of where he is. And then you see that like little teleport right here. You might have missed it. The teleport from the puck to here is because the puck was actually here the entire time. But on my screen, it doesn't show that. So you have to be further ahead of where that player is. So you can see that micro adjustment there. And then it's going to happen here shortly as well, because I think I do it again. So here he's walking a straight line. So I just go, see, I can switch my entire body. I get off of shift lock and I just go to the left and I knock it out of his puck here. When I see what, yeah, see, this is a perfect example right here of when I teed it further up than where he is. Because looking at this clip, it's actually ridiculous how much further you actually have to be ahead of some people. And again, that's based off of latency / ping. So that's kind of like the thing people talk about is how egregious it is that you have to be so farther, so much further ahead of other people in order to get the rock. But it is what it is. It's part of the game. So, you just have to kind of get used to it or whatnot. But this clip shows it perfectly of when you tee further up ahead. So I know that the puck is realistically like in this area, this vicinity. So I just tee it off. And so it switches off, it micro adjusts, and then I can get the puck off of him there pretty easily. I'll show you like one last time off this clip. I think I probably do it here again. But so, okay, even right here, you can even see like a slight micro teleport right there, which is kind of a good example. And then I just switch it around, but that's all that happens. So that's basically explaining ownership to a certain degree. I can even maybe do it here with Ninja a little bit, just to show some better examples or whatnot. But that's essentially ownership and ping and latency at its core. That's the very basics of this game. I did want to talk about that a little bit in the first episode, just because that is a lot of stuff. I would say even in this video, sometimes people may not know, even if you've been playing the game for a little while. So I see a lot of confusion with newer players. The puck bouncing back and forth, how it works, why, it teleports and does micro adjustments every single time. So if you can get really good at these basics and you just kind of watch back some montages or maybe some clips and highlights of people playing in real games, that helped me a lot when I was first starting up, was watching some clips back of people playing the game. And that kind of shows you how people, position themselves, how they adjust their body when the puck is coming towards them, how they're playing defense. So that's another part of the thing I'll talk about that a little bit later in other episodes or whatnot. Like I'll, go through that with OS2 offense, which would be a little bit more in depth, just speaking about shooting, all that beautiful stuff. But that's just the basics. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Again, everything else will be a little bit more in depth as I go further, but yeah, thanks for everything, guys.